Welcome back to La Vida Mora, Puerto Rico. I am so happy to finally be sitting here with you all to just share some, I think, valuable information, maybe a little deeper level of connection, and even just understanding to why you are here, what brought you here, what is the relevance of my channel for you, message that is being delivered, content that is shared, how does it give you value? Um, is it simply entertainment? A deeper, is there a deeper rooted connection here, interrelation of our presence here? Whatever the day is, connect. And I think it's important for some of you. For others, they might, again, like I said, just be like a form of entertainment, some light, easy breezy footage, visuals that you just may need to fulfill your day, like having a snack or like a slice of dessert or something like that. But we're gonna just go right into it, as I would like to first get into the participation from you all, which is to answer your questions. So the first question that I received, or we're not going in any order, and to be quite honest with you, I think I have a couple without names because I couldn't grab the name from Instagram. So I have, I think, 2 questions here that don't have names, so I do apologize in advance. Here we go. Glenn, exactly what brought you to leave New York City and start a new life in Borinquen, meaning Puerto Rico? Your hubby always had a close connection to the island, am I correct? Okay, quick backstory. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. My husband was born and raised in Añasco, Puerto Rico. We are 3 years apart. I am 40, he is 43. Our mothers were born and raised in Puerto Rico. They both moved to the States in their younger years and started, I believe, in the same middle school and went all the way through high school together as best friends. My husband's mother later on in life wound up moving back to Puerto Rico. My mother stood in New York all the rest of her life, and they kept in contact via letters, phone calls, later on emails. At some point when my husband was born, his mother and father took a trip to New York City, and my husband and I actually met when I was 2 and he was 5 years old. We went to Nellie Bly, Coney Island. It was like a big thing. My father, he has a whole bunch of memories of that, and I actually do not, unfortunately. My father on rides, and he remembers like seeing me in my stroller, my little coach, crying about something. He always says that he remembers my fat face, like my chubby cheeks, tails. I'll see if I can insert a picture of me when I was a little girl, and maybe one of him as well. So we met when we were 2 and 5. Years later, just because of the way life is, my husband's mother reached out to us and said, oh, you should join Facebook because I have a bunch of pictures of my grandkids on there. And we kind of just all joined Facebook and kept in contact via Facebook. Then I found out that my husband was divorced. I was getting out of a relationship. His mother then passed on, and we started conversations because of that. It was sort of like all of these events of life happening at once. And I don't like to use the word force, but it opened up this comfort zone for conversation. So him and I started to have conversations via Facebook Messenger. Now I was already, how old was I? 32. And he was 34. I'm sorry, 35. The thing is that we're not a full 3 years apart. We're like 2.5 years. To openly have conversations, adult conversations, obviously we already both had children. We spoke about my life in New York City, his life growing up, all his life in Puerto Rico. He never left Puerto Rico. He always lived here. The only difference is he moved from Añasco to Cabo Rojo when he was 8 years old. But he still has a home in Añasco, and we still visit there. It needs some work, but there are crops and trees and food growing there, which is going to get me into my next question. It's a story of how we sort of met. That leads in to why I came here. It's really just that simple. I fell in love. We fell in love. And when I came here to visit him, um, in our long distance relationship of dating, I didn't want to leave here. I will never forget. And I'm not exaggerating this. I'm not trying to make it sound dreamy. I'm not trying to sell you anything. But I will never forget returning back home. So sorry, there's going to be a lot of nature sounds here. I will never forget returning back home and being in my mother's kitchen, because I had moved back into my mother's home when I had my son. So I was living with my mother again as a single mom. And I remember the back door being open from the kitchen and a breeze coming in. And it didn't feel like Puerto Rico air. And I just remember standing there feeling so incomplete, so insignificant. And it's not fair, because it's not fair to describe it that way, but it's how I felt in the moment. And so disconnected. I suddenly felt as if, it's almost as if you were just given a light bulb and you see everything around you, and then they shut off that light and you're back in the darkness again. And I just knew in my heart and soul that if it wasn't for love, romantically, then it was going to be some other way, that I needed to be back here. My husband does own a home in Cabo Rojo, so we didn't go through a process of finding a home and, mortgage, etc. He just has a home here, and I moved in with him. It was not it's funny because there was no choice. I just knew. I knew it was gonna happen. I just knew. There was no fighting it. It just was what it was. It felt like it was what was supposed to happen, if that makes any sense. So I moved out here with my son, who's special needs. He has a rare genetic disorder as well called Prader-Willi syndrome. He's also on the autism spectrum and epileptic. So every single person in my life thought that I was it was ludicrous. They just thought it didn't make any valuable sense to leave the education system from the States and come here to sort of downgrade my life. And there's a rare beauty in the experience of feeling almost gullible. You come here and you start going through certain hardships, and you start going through these differences in culture, differences in service, differences in the speed and the ethic of the way maybe some things are done and handled. And you start to wonder if you're having these gullible moments. You start to wonder if you were pitched something that was painted really pretty, and now you're dealing with these side effects of living the dream and sort of just going on a whim. And all it has ever done for me, to be quite honest with you, for me, because we are all different. We absorb energies differently. We process challenges in life, blessings differently than others. We are not all on that same vibration of thought, emotions, process, even just fear. Fear seemed to sort of subside a lot when I moved out here. There was less and less and less fear as the years went on. I was just openly and willingly and with a sort of calmness going about events of my life, even if they were tragic, even if they were knocking me on my ass. I still had sort of this flow that I never had in New York City. And that doesn't mean that you need to move to another part of the world to let that enter into your system and into your ways and into your mindful decisions and actions and how you go through your days. It just what happened to me. So yeah, I fell in love. I moved to Puerto Rico, and I don't regret it. I almost feel as if I was put back where I belonged. I almost feel as if I was ending a cycle in my family or in my upbringing, and I was starting a new one, which also led me to having my daughter. Something just felt like we were supposed to. There was such a grace in having my daughter that I knew I was put back where I belong. From Lisa, this came from Instagram. Do you grow your own food? How much are groceries? Love the shirt. She liked my little New York t-shirt that I had in the Instagram photo. We do. We try. We do not live in a area of Cabo Rojo that has really good soil and rainfall. Unfortunately, our land, the soil is like clay. We are pretty much the desert here, and there are other parts of Puerto Rico that are like that as well. Even in this area, Guanica has a portion of that. We have lots of cactus that grow on our property. It's just dry. It will literally sometimes the rain is so close to us, I can almost taste it. I can smell it. The winds bring the smell over. You can see the rain clouds, and it just doesn't reach here. It's very strange. It's not all of Cabo Rojo. It's just in the part of Cabo Rojo that we live in. So when we do try to collect rainwater, yes, of course, but it's just not enough. It's not enough to really thoroughly have good crops. There are some things that thrive, of course, through the holes, and it's just not the same quality. So going back to Añasco, we do have property in Añasco, and there are many foods that grow over there. Aguacate, pana, palcha, quenepas, mango, guineo, plátano, coconuts. So there are more foods over there. Liz Miran, given a choice of living any place in Puerto Rico, would you still choose Cabo Rojo? Yes and no. Yes, because Cabo Rojo for me has been such a pleasure and joy. I feel safe in Cabo Rojo. I have access to pretty much anything that we really need. It has a little bit of a country feel, even though we are still pretty close to things like supermarkets and stores, etc. But we definitely have more of a pop feeling here in this area, Cabo Rojo. A lot of like little locally owned businesses that you can go to, a lot of community here. Cabo Rojo for me feels more of like an older generation. This is not the place that you really necessarily come to party. It's more the place that you come to for its beauty and tranquility, which I really dig about this corner. You know, I'm 40 years old, and although I have children, I just like this sort of like middle ground that we have here where you have enough, but on the flip side of that, we are really far away from everything because we live in the corner. We are so far from the other side of the island. So that's the only reason why I would say I would maybe like to be somewhere a little bit more in the middle of the island. But it's just at the end of the day, I would choose Cabo Rojo again, without a doubt. Maybe just in an area that it rains more. Would you ever move back to New York? No. You can never say never. But in my heart and soul, the answer is no. It would have to be something catastrophic happen, God forbid, and I had no other choice. And I would be grateful for I would be grateful, you know, either way, because I have so much family there. All my family is there. And, you know, it will never be a bad thing necessarily. It's a blessing to be able to have support and something to fall back on. But if I had to choose, no. Let's see. Liz Miran, given... Okay, no, we did. Oh, somebody wrote, stay here in Puerto Rico. We're staying. I am staying. Just so you guys know, just quickly, I experienced Hurricane Maria and I almost experienced a divorce. And in neither one of those two moments did I ever feel like I wanted to leave Puerto Rico. I, on the contrary, did everything that I could to stay here. My husband and I have a very good relationship, regardless of anything that we may, anything that may challenge us. And we are really, like, him and I are really connected, and we both would do anything possible to make sure that I can stay here with my children. If anything was to cross our paths again that may challenge us or separate us, or, you know, that's obviously between him and I, but it's just to prove to you, just not prove, I don't want to say prove because I don't need to prove to anything to anyone, but just to give you some real life, a valid example, truth. I think it's important for you to understand I am being truthful. I am being really raw and honest with you, that neither storm, emotional or physical, made me feel that I wanted to leave this island. ¿Cuál te gusta más? Puerto Rico, of course. For me, it's not for everyone. Not everyone feels this way. I have family that would maybe like to vacation here but not live here. Ashley asks, what are your thoughts about the education system? The education system, I'm not your average parent. I think it's important to be clear about this. I'm a firm believer in homeschooling. I don't 100% believe in the education system, but I do support all teachers. Every single teacher, they are amazing. They are angels. They are gifts from God. I just don't 100% believe in the education system. So for me, although a lot of people may find that the education system in Puerto Rico is lacking for reasons such as there are no substitute teachers. If there is a teacher absent, your child just doesn't have class that day, and that's just it. So you have to rearrange your whole day if you have a job, in order to stay with your child or have somebody to stay with your child. Maybe the textbooks, etc., that they receive are not up to the standards of people from the States, but there is a difference here that I noticed. I don't put my daughter in school so that she can become a doctor one day, although that is great for anyone who is focused on that from the very beginning. I put her in school to socialize, and I put her in school so that she can just gain some of that culture that is so strong here in the school system, which is something that I admire. Education is valued. You need your education. So it's valued a little bit more, I feel, in Puerto Rico, where more people are going to college, more people take their education serious because they kind of sort of know that they need it. You can't always just have everything at your fingertips. Sometimes a good challenge is important, and it just gives you more value and more heart. Sometimes it just builds more character, and I just feel that that's kind of the story here with these kids in Puerto Rico. The lunch is way better. They value what your kids are eating more. They value what your kids are experiencing in the school more. They're very big on the music and culture and celebrating, and that's just a beautiful thing. It makes it feel almost like family. It's a little different, and so I don't mind the school system here, but that's just because my standards as far as textbook wise or curriculum wise is a lot lower than most people, because I just feel like whatever I really truly want my daughter to learn, I'm gonna teach her at home. So if you could live anywhere, where would you choose? If we could pick another pueblo to live in, and we had to leave Cabo Rojo, I really do love Aguada, and I actually also really think Fajardo is beautiful. So I would say Aguada, Fajardo, Las Marias is beautiful. Even San Juan, if you could take away a lot of like the dirt and crime there. I also enjoy a little bit of that city life of San Juan. I like the vibe there sometimes. It's changed over the years, and it's become a really touristy, money making attraction now. But I do like the area of San Juan as well. Is Cabo Rojo a very busy or chill area to live in? I have only been to the eastern side of the island. This question, I forgot to take the name, and I do apologize. I'm not sure who asked me that. Cabo Rojo, as I mentioned before, is extremely laid back. Most of the people that live here are retired from the States. I would say most of the people that you really see, it's a it's an escape for the locals. The people who live in Puerto Rico, they often come to Cabo Rojo for the holiday side of the island. Our beaches are really, really popular for celebrating the holidays. So we have Bulle, we have Playa Sucia, we have Combate, we have the Boquerón area as well. But yeah, our beaches are very popular for the turismo interno, you know, internal tourism. Okay, so that's it for the questions. Now, I wanted to quickly mention, you know, my life was modified once I really truly dug my feet in the soil here and lived here. There are things that I cannot say I was able to achieve while living in the States. This is gonna sound so ridiculous, but I just want to show you how humbling life has been since living here. There, even something like a cucaracha getting into my house or coming out at nighttime or something. I remember I used to really kind of raise my nose up to things like that before. When I grew up in Brooklyn, we had things like cucarachas, cockroaches, the random rodent once in a while, water bugs, etc. You know, litter. I lived under a train station. Where I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, I literally lived under a train track. So our apartment building, my window level was level with the train tracks, and when I was a little kid, I used to sit on the window and watch the B train pass by because it was the B train that used to run through there. I grew up in the Sunset Borough Park area of Brooklyn. So I I at first was very like, oh, I can't live like this. Um, yeah, things like even like our dogs and cats, you know, having so many stray cats coming here instead of hanging around and living here, like a lot of it felt very dirty to me. And I'm just being honest at the beginning. And it's just humbling. It's humbling because I truly feel like we were intended to live more outside than we are inside. We have grown so comfortable and accustomed to building walls around us and painting them and decorating a certain way and just making life look like a magazine page, and we don't focus enough on what it's like to just be without those comforts, without the makeup, without the pretty clothing, without again, that roof over your head. And especially when Hurricane Maria passed through here and we were borrowing water from neighbors and, um, you know, gathering food to eat that wasn't just canned food. A lot of our avocados were shaken to the ground because of the winds, and just finding food in different areas and being able to gather things whatever we could, and having to clean up for yourself and having to just like chop trees down and get your machete and clean up the debris of the storm. It was humbling, and a lot of people may think, wow, poor them, I can't believe, you know, that they live like that. I can't believe their government is so corrupt. I can't believe that you know, they have to go through so much of this on their own. But this is what I mean about character. It it does something. It humbles you, and it strengthens you, and it gives you a different perspective, and it makes you wonder, what is the real true way to live. So I don't mind that I don't have the most beautiful bathroom. I don't mind that if the dishes stay in the sink like until nighttime, they'll eventually start getting mold on them from like the humidity. I don't mind that things, you know, rust here because of the salt air. I don't care anymore. And I never thought that I can be this person so willingly. You know, I'm not forced to be this person. I don't have to be this person. I can not be this person if I wanted to. But I'm grateful for it. I feel like I was put back here. I wonder why so much movement happens across the world. I wonder why so many people leave where they're born from. And also, to be honest with you, we lucked out so much with our neighbors. We just have we have really amazing neighbors here. Some are gringos, some are natives, and it's a beautiful thing here. I don't want people to keep coming here to steal from us. I don't want people to keep coming here to own. I don't want that to keep happening. I don't want the island to be overexposed for, dollar bills or tax breaks. That I do not want. I don't believe in that. But I do want more people like me to find their way back and to see if this is where you need to be replanted, because I don't think you will regret it. You need tough skin, yeah, of course, because we all need tough skin. The problem is that we've been so soft for so long that we think, oh, you gotta have tough skin to make it there. That's how it should be anyhow. We've just been softened so much with so many advancements, so much technology, so much at our fingertips, that we call this, the toughening up and living the harder way. And actually, it's really not so bad. I still can open my faucet and have running water. I still can turn on a knob and cook in my kitchen. So this is not so bad. That's it. Besitos, guys. Thank you so much for watching. So I did forget to answer one question, which was if my children are bilingual. And yes, they are. My son grew up speaking English all his life, and he started to learn some Spanish when we moved here to Puerto Rico. So he may not be able to have a conversation in Spanish, but he does understand lots of phrases, lots of comments, words, etc. Before I used to be able to kind of speak in code in Spanish in front of him, and now he understands things. So that's how I know that he has improved immensely on his Spanish. And he even always tries to speak it when he's around people. My daughter started off with Spanish, and now she favors English because she's always hearing me speak English to my son. So it just feels more comfortable to her, I think. But she does go to a Spanish only school, and so did my son. My son is homeschooled now. But in his first 4 years here, he went to Spanish only school, and my daughter was the same. It was very important for me to put them in Spanish only school and not bilingual school, especially for my daughter. At the end of the day, whatever she was going to pursue in her future would be in Spanish, so she just needed to learn everything in Spanish, not in English. So but I teach her things at home in English, so she's sort of getting like a double education. She's getting both. But yes, that's that. And fun fact, I didn't grow up speaking Spanish at all. I started to speak Spanish once I moved out here. I would say after a year of living here, I was very comfortable holding conversations. I always understood Spanish, maybe at like a good 70% level. When I moved out here, I understood it like at 100% level. Well, 98. Sometimes people say things or phrases and I'm like, what? It'd be like a slang or a phrase that is just I'm not familiar with and I don't understand, and I may have to ask them to say it again a different way and then I'll get it. But yeah, so I am also bilingual, and I would say pretty fluent in both. Not, perfect. In Spanish, I don't speak perfectly and the grammar can be off sometimes. But yes, for, I don't know, almost 7 years now, I've been speaking out here mostly in Spanish. I only speak English at home. So that is that on the language. I totally forgot who asked me that, but thank you for asking. Hope that you enjoyed this video. I will have some other content this week, I think, because I normally don't do these just like talking straight videos, so I might put something else out this week. Thank you for your time, for your support. Don't forget to like and